Bliss podcast. Welcome back to episode. Oh, the mic's down here. Look, I didn't even know where the mic was. Hopefully, you all heard. Okay, welcome back to the Bliss podcast. Episode unbeknownst. I don't know what episode we're on now. Somewhere in the 20s. I don't even know why I was counting. Harley, he's keeping track very nicely. So maybe you can let us know, Harley Prabhu. So, I'm your host, Maitreya Rishi Dasa, and I'm here with His Grace, Srila Purji Prabhu, of the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society, the founder of it. How are you doing, Prabhu?
Very good, thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada. So, on the previous podcast, if you weren't here, we discussed a controversial question. You know, that's actually what I named the podcast. I don't know if I told you, or if you saw. I named it a controversial question. Yeah, with Jota Haridas. Yeah, so we discussed a controversial topic of suicides in Krishna consciousness. Oh boy. Not exactly in Krishna consciousness, but...
That's what I wanted to ask. Is that still Krishna consciousness if you want to kill yourself?
Yeah, not exactly. Yeah. Krishna gave you the human form of body, so valuable. Don't take it away. Please, if anyone's considering suicide, really, you've got so much to live for. Krishna.
We forgot to mention that Sanatan Goswami also wanted to jump off the Govardhan Hill or something.
I'm not actually sure about the pastime. Was this because he was covered in the boils?
Yes.
Okay.
And Lord Chaitanya said, no, you can't do this because your body already belongs to me.
Right. Okay.
So there's another instance where Lord Chaitanya says you should not commit suicide. So it's not so black and white. This is something that we should always keep in mind when we are reading Prabhupada's books, so we are discussing these Krishna conscious topics. And many times it is not black or white. That's why this philosophy is called Achinta Beda Beda Tattva, simultaneously one and different. There are more angles, more depth to these pastimes and instructions. So we have to discuss with devotees. Discussion is very much encouraged. Arjuna and Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, had a discussion. It was not a dogmatic kind of like just giving out the rules. It was a discussion.
So that's how you figure out the secret meanings, is it? How to do the... I mean, obviously, like you just mentioned, there's so many deeper aspects to everything we read, the philosophy, so many applications. Of course, it's the absolute truth. It applies in all circumstances. So this is the way to figure it out, through discussion.
Yeah, that's why Krishna consciousness is a science. For example, you can look at this chair and you can say it's a chair. But if you're a scientist, then you go deep and you say, no, this is not just chair. There are atoms, there are molecules, there's this glue and that glue was made there and this sort of and this person. This is a scientific study. You go deep. And then you understand, actually, it's not a chair, just a chair.
Yeah. So much more. Yeah. So also devotees are obviously required, right? Devotee association, very essential.
Good devotee association.
Okay. Not just any. Okay, very important. Oh.
The best devotee association is Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. So, yes, that was the question we discussed on last week's podcast. Obviously, a little quick note. It is traditional on the Bliss podcast for us to flood you with the social medias and all that good stuff. Because that's a very useful platform for you to get in contact with us. You can send us your questions and your doubts and your feedbacks and your challenges and all that good stuff. That's how we can interact with you, how we can know your minds, not in a controlling kind of way, but in a relationship kind of way. We like to know our audience and also how the podcast is doing.
Which is the most controlling.
The most controlling.
Yes.
Okay. Well, in a good sense, we're making content for the people, obviously for Prabhupada, but for the people, and also. So yeah, you can let us know through our various social medias, which are the Facebook, the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society, the Instagram, Expand the Bliss. The web... am I missing any more of those kind of social medias? There's one more.
YouTube.
YouTube, of course, yeah. Which you're listening to this. Oh, maybe they're on Buzzsprout also, because we're also on Buzzsprout. I got news for you. If you're listening to this on YouTube, we're also on Buzzsprout. If you like to listen in the car, like I know Pirijit's mother does, Hare Krishna, Pirijit's mum, I know you're listening in the car right now on Buzzsprout. So yeah, if you find the YouTube hindering in some way because it's a video platform, you can find us on Buzzsprout there. Dear Mac and Chalk Prabhuji, he does a nice saver, and he uploads pretty consistently the podcast on there.
And we would also like to thank Mr. Christian Leota,
Yes, Jay.
who is paying for this
Yeah, it wouldn't be
out
possible.
of his own pocket. Thank you so much, Christian.
Wonderful. So yeah, thank you to Christian. In this regard, I'm gonna finish that social media, but
The Christians are also good for something.
yeah. Oh, spicy. Oh, sound effect. I would say that's more like the Buddhists, Prabhu. Maybe we can get a Christian one. I don't know what that sounds like, but okay.
They killed Jesus!
Yeah, kind of like a classic rock. Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, and the website. That's very important also. The website's a wonderful portal to the spiritual world, and the Bhaktivedanta lives in the Sound Society. The same thing, where you can get access to the Bliss ebooks. So many nice ebooks compiled by His Grace Purja Prabhu. You can read the articles written by the glorious devotees like Mac and Jor Prabhu and Paramahamsa Prabhu. Very nice articles there. So many nice things on the Bliss website. And that is also a hub. Well, I'm going to link these in the description of this video also, but it's also a hub where you can find... I will, and I have been doing it consistently now. Thank you, yes. Don't worry. The spacing out is becoming slightly less spaced. I'm kind of... Yeah. Sounding like I'm holding this microphone. Kind of like a little flute here. So, yeah, so anyway, I got a little distracted. The GoFundMe and the Patreon you can find on the website and in the links also down below. What is GoFundMe? What is Patreon? Very nice donation platforms where you can, on Patreon, you can become a regular subscriber and you can become entitled to rewards. Or if you're feeling equally as generous but in a slightly different way, GoFundMe, you can give a one-time donation or however many time donation on there. So, sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh boy, that's the carbonated water we're taking now at the temple. That's really dangerous. So, that is our that's our media outlets. anything you'd like to add in this connection, Prabhu? Here comes the flute.
I think you said it all.
Okay. Yeah.
How about we show some appreciation to devotees who have kindly contributed for the last week or so?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu, for reminding me. These are very special devotees. Every devotee is special, but these devotees, they're showing their appreciation and they're helping us very much by giving regular support. So some names that come to mind, Sabina Mataji is giving donations. Thank you so much, Sabina Mataji. It is so generous and so kind-hearted of you. Also Dushan. Wow, Dushan is really contributing like anything. I tried to give Dushan, I tried to give you a shout out on the Facebook, but for some reason I could not tag you. There's something about my Facebook on the phone doesn't like you. I don't know. It's not me, I promise. Anyway, here's my shout out to you through this media. Thank you, Dushan. Yeah, it's tremendous benefit. Anyone else? Peter Krishna, obviously, doing wonderful stuff. He also asked some nice questions, which are the inspiration also for this podcast. So Peter Krishna gets a bonus. He's also the reason why you're listening to this podcast right now. So thank you. All glories to Peter Krishna. And also Christian Leota is also throwing some stuff in there. So thank you, Christian Leota Prabhu. All glories. So this support is very, very helpful for the Bliss preaching activities. And you just give whatever you can through any of our mediums, and actually we have a project up and coming that you're investing in, the London project. We're planning on planning on moving to London. I think even Prabhu was mentioning this morning that the corona contamination lockdown situation is being alleviated now. So actually, it seems that we'll be going even sooner than I thought. It's kind of a shock to the system. Am I correct in saying this, Prabhu?
I don't know. Please let us know. Can we go out of here? Is the war over?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know exactly when they're gonna open up the borders, but yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're kind of in the dark, so you can help us out. So on this episode of the Bliss Podcast, episode whatever it may be, let's talk about prasadam. Prasadam, such an integral part of everyone, all the devotees' Krishna consciousness. Everyone has to eat. You can't avoid eating. It's a very foundational aspect of existence itself. Everyone likes to eat nice, palatable dishes. I also know some Prabhus who like to eat not so palatable dishes, but yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'll tell you later. So anyway, it's not necessarily about what we like to eat. It's about what we like to offer to Krishna. That's the main thing. So prasadam is a very wonderful thing because everyone has to eat and everyone likes to eat. We also can dovetail that in Krishna consciousness in yoga. We don't reject anything in Krishna consciousness. We don't say anything is material, or some things obviously we try to avoid, but pretty much everything we dovetail in spiritual consciousness. We don't reject the world. We make everything the spiritual world by offering it to Krishna or by using it for Krishna's purpose instead of our own purpose. And ultimately, that's the only difference between the material world and being in the spiritual world, is your consciousness, how you view things, how you use the things around you. And if you use them for Krishna's purpose instead of your own sense gratification, then you'll actually feel this spiritual bliss. You'll actually begin to realize your real identity, spiritual identity as an eternal servant of Krishna. So food is not exempt from this dovetailing, this yoga practice. Other yoga practices, they kind of had their sadhana or whatever, asanas or all these kind of things. But Krishna consciousness also includes eating. And we do it in grand style, I would say. The devotees, they know how to feast, prepare very elaborate preparations for Krishna, very beautiful preparations, dishes you can't even conceive of. I myself was blown away when I was first practicing. I was like, wow, this is crazy. The Hayagriva, yeah. I tried to make Hayagriva for Krishna one time. It didn't work out so well. Anyway, that's a story maybe we could tell some other time. But yeah, the dishes are really fantastic. And they purify your consciousness. They elevate you spiritually. So prasadam is a really wonderful thing. I know, Purajit Prabhu, you are also a big lover of prasadam. Any thoughts you'd like to share in this opening regard?
It is essential for the new devotees, but we should minimize later on because we're just gonna damage our health.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's I know
Personal experience.
From personal experience. I know we were discussing a little while ago that the dangers of too much nice prasadam or letting your senses get the better of you. But I thought before we get into any stories and stuff, because that is very nectar, we can do some stories also. Maybe you can enlighten us with your wisdom about the importance of prasadam and like that kind of thing. The more philosophical things before we get into the sense gratification kind of things.
I have no wisdom, I am a fool, number one. Whatever wisdom I have, that simply churning the nectar of our Acharya Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So you mentioned, this is a very nice point, that we spiritualize the material world, turn it into a spiritual world. So there's a nice verse in the Bhagavad Gita on this point. Brahmarpanam Brahman Havir Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmayavatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consumption is absolute and that which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. This is what Krishna says. Very nice, eh?
Very nice that everything that you offer becomes spiritual and you also become spiritual yourself. Like, what is the process of this offering?
Okay, before we go to the process, we should first of all understand that everything in this world is the property of Krishna. See, everything is owned by someone. If I say that this apartment is just here, and I come in and I start to live there, I'm gonna get kicked out, right? The police, they're gonna call police, and
Like
so on.
Figgy. Like Figgy, we also had an incident with a character called Figgy, and we were just on the brink of calling the cops with him. He was a real problem, trying to take our baby oats. If you haven't seen, you can head over to the Facebook page. This was documented. This really terrible incident. You can see our documentation of that.
Anyway, everyone, everything is owned by someone. Whatever, you take an apartment, a house, a road, even the air is owned, or the waters, right, is owned by several nations, as our friend told us the other day. So it is a ridiculous conclusion to say that the material nature doesn't belong to anyone, or the world or the universe doesn't belong to anyone, or everything, you take everything all together, is not owned by anyone. It is owned by God, by Krishna. When we understand this, we attain what we call Krishna consciousness. It is not simply that I say something, oh, Krishna consciousness, Krishna, it's a lot of fun, oh, Krishna's playing a flute, ha ha ha, he he he. This is a very nice religion or whatever it is. No, Krishna consciousness is practical. Unless you understand that whatever we are using belongs to God, there is no Krishna consciousness, there is no God consciousness, it's just a pretense. We can say it like that. Because if we understand this point, then our devotional service can begin. Devotional service is not that we giving something to God, that we giving Him something He needs. It's okay?
Yeah.
We're giving Him something that He's lacking. That Krishna comes here and He says, I need leaves, because in Goloka, Vrindavan, there's no leaves. We need some water, we have a drought there. And I need some fruits, because everything in Goloka is genetically modified, so you have some fruits. No, Krishna has everything. Krishna doesn't need anything. He's the source of all opulences.
Wait, Prabhu, what is Goloka Vrindavan?
Goloka Vrindavan, okay, that's a good question, is the spiritual planet where Krishna, the Supreme Lord, resides eternally with His associates, and where He enjoys His transcendental eternal pastimes full of bliss.
Wow.
And that's where we're supposed to go after we get free from the cycle of reincarnation.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, let's go. Through this process of Krishna consciousness, as given by our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, it is possible. We can go there in this life.
Wow.
No more birth, no more death, no more old age, no more disease, no more bills to pay, no more Donald Trump. And yeah, Donald Trump is okay. Give the place for Ratha Yatra.
Yeah.
So it is not that he needs it. He's asking these things because we're using his property without acknowledging him, without acknowledging Krishna. And that is why we have problems here. And that's why this greed develops, that one is taking over someone else's property. One nation comes and with a army takes over the oil or takes over the resources and exploits the other nation. That's why there's economic wars and economic exploitation and all these nasty things. They all originate from this one root problem, and that is lack of Krishna consciousness, lack of God consciousness, and specifically a lack of understanding that everything here in this world is the property of God. So when you understand this, oh, it belongs to God. My boss or Trump or whatever, these intermediate owners are not the actual owners of things, because after death they're kicked out and they cannot keep their property. The property is being passed down, from one person to another one. So they're not actual proprietors. The actual proprietor of everything in this world is God, Krishna. So when we offer our food to Krishna, this is the beginning of our pure devotional service, pure unconditional. We have. It is not that Krishna needs it. That's why we're giving him these things out of pure love, and he accepts them out of love. Just like a father, right? When the child offers him something, he knows that something was bought from his own pocket, from the father's money. But still he takes pleasure. Prabhupada says, "Oh, you have brought so nicely, thank you." So similarly, Krishna, although he doesn't need our insignificant offerings, even you can make a big 1,000 preparations, it doesn't impress Krishna. Krishna has billions. You can't even count so many delicious meals being cooked by all the goddesses of fortunes. They're cooking for him 24 hours, all kinds of meals. So you can't impress Krishna. But because you offer it with love, with this idea that, oh my God, Krishna, you have given me so many things, so many lifetimes I've been enjoying nice things in this world. So I want to offer you something in return. It might be not so bombastic, intergalactic, bombastic, but I offer it with love, with the idea that, please, Krishna, accept this. And Krishna, if we are humble like this and we offer with love, he accepts it. And then that offering turns magically into what we call Krishna Prasadam Jai. So then when we take that offering, if we eat that and we distribute it to others, they become, and we ourselves become spiritually surcharged or spiritually purified, free from the karmic reactions that the plants or fruits went through, because they're also killed. We have another podcast on this if you want to scroll down on the YouTube. It's called Hare Krishna and the Vegans.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna and the Vegans. We published this, I think, in November or December last year. So we're touching on this subject there. If you want to listen, you can check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this point that you mentioned that Krishna, he accepts the love that Krishna, he doesn't have to, he doesn't we don't offer something that we think is very opulent or nice or whatever. It's about your consciousness, and Prabhupada says that this is why the Krishna consciousness movement is universal, non-sectarian, because every person, wherever he is in the world, or whatever level of wealth he is, poor man, rich man, whatever, it doesn't matter, he can find these four things that Krishna says to offer him in the Bhagavad Gita, Pacham Pushpam Palam Toyam. So that is leaf, water, flower, and fruit. So anyone can find one of these four things and offer it to Krishna, and like Prabhu said, your devotional service begun. It's actually a very, very simple, meager thing. Just a little change of your habit, a little change of your consciousness, and immediately your spiritual life begins. You start eating karma-free foods, and very easy, because we in the material world we want to be the enjoyer. We want to be we want to be God. We want to be the person who actually has all the how do you say, the enjoyer. So we say no. Why should Krishna have the foods? I should be the first one. I earn this money. I whatever. But actually, this is the cause of our suffering, our bondage in the material worlds, incurring karma. You do something, you get a reaction for it. So similarly, if you work and you get some money and you earn some, you spend that money for food, and then not only do you buy the food and work in the material world, you also eat the food. You just gained yourself a pile of reaction. But with a simple flick of the consciousness, you say, no, I just give it to Krishna. Obviously with love, devotion, but that little difference in your consciousness saves you from so much material misery. So I think this prasadam is an amazing aspect of the Krishna consciousness philosophy. That's something so simple, and anyone can do it and begin spiritual life. It's a very cool thing, and that's also why Lord Chaitanya. This is part of Lord Chaitanya's program for the Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga, obviously, people like we discussed on Yuga Dhamma Sankirtana, that in the Kali Yuga people are very lazy and it's very difficult for people to practice spiritual life. So Lord Chaitanya brought this program of dancing and chanting and eating nice prasadam, because it doesn't matter what position of life you're in. You might not be very spiritually advanced, but anyone can just offer a little food, and then immediately you become spiritualized. So yeah, I like this point.
Yes, I just want to mention this exactly, your point. Prabhupada explains in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in his commentary on the 36th verse of the 5th chapter. He says, Lord Chaitanya has taught us a very simple method in this connection. He has taught us the lesson for preaching transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment. As such, 50% of our income may be spent up for this purpose. In this fallen age of quarrel and dissension, if only the leading and well-to-do persons of the society agree to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord, as it is taught by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolute certainty of converting this hell of pandemonium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. Nobody will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing, and refreshments are administered. Everyone will attend such function, and in that auspicious spiritual function, everyone is sure to feel individually about the transcendental presence of the Lord, and this alone will help the attendants associating with the Lord and thereby purifying oneself in the matter of spiritual realization.
What does Prabhupada mean when he says a hell of pandemonium? This place is kind of nice. I like where I'm living. Thank you very much.
Yeah, billions of babies are butchered. Billions of animals are butchered. Everything is nice. Before you cross this wall that is covering all the brutality, you have a nice time, but someone else has to have a hell of a pandemonium.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this will also not be untouched. This will not be unanswered by the laws of material nature. We'll get a reaction for this. So, tremendous, horrible, sinful activities are going on as we're speaking, and the world is going to hell, so to speak. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is here to save the world from ruination. Everyone is very, very downtrodden and very unhappy and very depressed. That is why when devotees go out and chant in the streets, immediately they shine. Immediately shine, because they have a transcendental happiness that is beyond any understanding of a materialistic mundane person. so they immediately stand out from the crowd because everyone is so miserable. They stand out tremendously. Even there's a one devotee. If you're one devotee and you want to go and chant, do it. It will make a difference.
Yeah, yeah. Prabhupada uses this phrase. I mean, in some different instances too, but it works here also. That's one moon rather than all these nonsense stars. So if you become Krishna conscious, yeah, you can make a huge difference. You can maybe compare. I don't know. This is maybe going to speculative territory, but you can compare the stars to people who are doing all kinds of, they're trying to make people happy through philanthropy or whatever. All this nonsense. Also, vegetarianism or whatever. But actually, if you just change your consciousness to Krishna consciousness, very simple method. Read Prabhupada's books, chant Hare Krishna, take Prasadam. And if you can't preach Krishna consciousness, if you've got a job, if you've got a family, whatever, it's alright. You just give 50% to those who are preaching Krishna consciousness, and then you also are connected. Then you're fully connected to that spiritual potency, and then you will also get that spiritual benefit.
Just a note, 50% of your income, not 50% of your trash.
Oh, shoo, yeah, income, how much you're earning. Give to Krishna, and also offer to Krishna. So so then when you become a moon, then you can actually give benefits to those around you.
Actually, Prabhupada says here that the leading men, they should give 50% of their income.
Oh.
All these rich people, if they give 50% of their income to support this Krishna consciousness, I mean, how wonderful this is. Chanting, dancing, and all the money goes to buy boga, the ingredients, and we cook. We offer to Krishna, and we distribute. Come, take prasadam, as many as possible. You don't have to become a devotee. Come, there's a free meal for you waiting.
Wow.
Free meal, as many as possible. We want to. This is our program. We want to increase the Krishna consciousness movement to such an extent that there will be no need for people to cook or buy food. They can eat free. In India, actually, it is so. The temples originally, there will be no. Prabhupada says there will be no hotels. The people just go, and in a temple, they would get a room and they would get a meal, prasadam, everything taken care of. This is unheard of in the Western countries. This is Krishna consciousness. So please help us to make this a reality. Let there be 1 billion temples in the whole world where the prasadam distribution is going on. You can come anytime. You don't have to buy any lunch, with rotten carcass and butchered cow head and all tiger's genital and all kinds of rubbish. Come and take nice halava, khichdi, whatever, puri, sabji, gulab jamun, and all kinds of nice delicacies. We offer it to Krishna. It's free of karma. It's tasty. It's economical. It saves the animals' lives. It saves human lives. It's spiritually surcharged. This is Krishna consciousness movement. It's possible. So that is what we're asking. Please support financially, not just by words, but financially. Support this wonderful Krishna conscious program. I have been doing this love feasting. We have a love feast program every week. We cook a big feast or small feast, depending on what is the budget. But at least 4 preparations we would make. And we invite people to come and fill up their bellies up to the brim. Come and chant. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful, if you want to say religion, this is the best religion. You get nice meal, you get nice dance, you get the nice chanting and wonderful philosophy that satisfies your intelligence. You're intelligent. People have many doubts about God and soul, and they're skeptical, and there'll be many cheaters and bogus rascals taking advantage of God's message, right? So we have wonderful philosophy that will satisfy your intelligence, your intelligent inquiries, your skeptical inquiries, your challenging inquiries. Everything is very nicely answered. It makes your mind peaceful. So for this reason, if the leading man, the rich man, those who have the means and they don't know what to do with it, they waste it on vaccines and all kinds of useless temporary patchwork philanthropy. engagements, if they give it to us, Krishna devotees, who are honest, who are doing something meaningful, spiritual, then you will see the world will change. So please take it seriously.
Very nice. Okay, so yeah, you also mentioned this point about the cow heads and the tiger genital and all this nasty stuff. So yeah, that's another thing I just like to mention in this regards, that prasadam. Prabhupada says if you take this prasadam, you're not gonna even have a taste for these lower things, meat or whatever. So this is another amazing thing, and just in this connection, maybe we can go to the some of the pastimes of prasadam. I know Prabhu, you've shared with me some of your favorite prasadam pastimes. Maybe just a question, and then you can also tell something. So, what is your favorite thing to offer to Krishna?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like to offer, but I like to eat especially everything.
Okay. No, you have no favorite, no specific thing you particularly like to offer. You just accept you accept the mercy as it is, no discrimination.
Yeah, well, I try to think that Krishna ate it, so it must be wonderful.
good. Okay.
Because Krishna ate it,
Right.
so everything is good.
Okay, so it doesn't matter about the prep; it's about the fact that Krishna tasted it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's a nice way of looking
I'm a little lazy because I have the back pain problem, so I can't cook so often. So that's why I'm saying a little lazy offering. But if you offer Maitreya or Makanchu or some devotee, oh, I like to eat nice prasadam. Yes, I like pakoras
Okay,
and chutney.
okay.
Not every day. That would kill me. But yeah, I like that. I like sweets also.
Yeah.
Halava,
Sweets are very nice.
gulab jamun,
Yeah.
barfi.
Burfi's the best.
Yeah. I think are we sending some barfi rockets, right?
We are sending some Burfi rockets to those nice donators that we mentioned in the earlier part of the podcast. Yeah.
If you want a barfi rocket, please send a donation. You get a barfi surprise into your mailbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not ungrateful.
No.
We give back.
We give back a little something, whatever we can. Yeah, Mac and Chopabi, he makes very nice prasadam. Yeah, I also am a big fan of the sweets. But one important note: public announcements. Everyone should avoid overeating on prasadam. Okay, so you come to the temple, you take a little prasad, or you offer it at home. But a note, a little on the lighter side of things, is that don't go too crazy, because it's very easy. You have to control yourself. The thing is with prasadam, like anything spiritual as opposed to material, with material things you get saturated after a long time. You can't enjoy the material senses for forever. Even if you really, really like something, if I give you your favorite something, and over and over again, you're going to get tired of it, because it's material, it's temporary, it doesn't actually go to the soul. The material body is like a covering on it is a covering on the soul. So if you supply enjoyment to the body, something which you're not, it doesn't actually make you happy, the soul within the body. So prasadam is especially pleasing because Krishna has tasted and you're part and parcel of Krishna, then you become satisfied. The soul actually becomes satisfied by taking that prasadam. Not only does the body become nourished, the senses become satisfied, but the soul becomes satisfied. So it's an entirely different experience. People often note that prasadam tastes better than any foodstuffs they'd previously eaten. Why is that? Because they actually are enjoying with Krishna, not just the senses demanding. You go here, you go to this restaurant, you eat some tiger genital like that. So it's a spiritual experience as well as, you could say, material. It's not material because it's all become spiritual, but you could say material in as much as it keeps the body and soul together, as Srila Prabhupada says. So it's a very you have to control your senses because it's very satisfying, And sometimes, at least I know in my experience, and also I won't say anyone else, but for me, I myself, I find it difficult to control, especially when Paramahamsa Prabhu or Puja Prabhu or Makanchur Prabhu, they make some first class offering to Krishna, especially on the love feast as well. Yeah, you have to go easy, because sometimes I've been after love feast with my belly so full I can't actually breathe after taking so much sweet rice or whatever. So just a quick note I thought I'd mention to people out there that once you start tasting prasadam, you can't go back, and you gotta control your senses. Anything you'd like to add in this regard, Prabhu?
Well, not in the beginning. In the beginning, you should overeat like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. Prabhupada says better that you overeat prasadam than you eat some meat or some sinful food like that. All food is sinful. Yeah.
It's not just that we say that don't eat meat, don't eat anything that's not offered to Krishna. That is actually the definition of meat, right?
Yeah. Why don't you get back to Peter Kirchner's, because Peter was asking about onions and garlic.
Right.
What about that?
Yeah. So Peter Krishna asked a nice question, that why we don't offer onions and garlic. I think it was, why don't we offer onions and garlic to Krishna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we do offer sugar, which is
Uh,
way much more
unhealthy.
unhealthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that we don't really care a fig for health. I mean, yeah, it's there, of course. Like I mentioned before, the material body. You should keep it nicely for Krishna. It belongs to Lord Chaitanya, like Prabhu also mentioned. We use it for the service. So, yeah, there's some health aspect, but it's not that we're doing what we're doing because we're offering what we're offering because of health. We offer because Krishna wants something nice, palatable. What Krishna wants, that's what we offer. Because the thing is that it isn't about you. It isn't about your health or your enjoyment. It's about Krishna. Krishna is the center. Krishna is the enjoyer. And we're all the servants. So you offer to Krishna what Krishna says he likes, and what the spiritual master says shouldn't be offered. And that's the process. Of course, there's an explanation. It's not, of course, it's not sentimental anyway. This explanation is not sentimental, but it's not just that. Of course, there are the onions and the garlic. They're in a lower mode of nature, so your consciousness will be affected. You won't be able to understand Krishna. You won't be able to understand spiritual knowledge if your mind is situated in a lower mode of nature. These vegetable, fruits, milk stuff, foodstuffs, materially speaking, they can elevate you to the mode of goodness, which is like a mode of nature that's less covered by ignorance, by passion, wanting to enjoy the senses. The mind becomes pacified. But this is also a material mode. It's still you're still bound to the material world, my friend. You're not going anywhere. Prasadam is transcendental. You come to Vishuddha Sattva. You come to the platform of being able to understand who you are, what is God. Your actual happiness is on that platform, and that's only possible through prasadam, because when Krishna tastes, then it becomes free from all the modes of nature. So it doesn't necessarily matter that we're offering fruits or any of these things. They might be in the mode of goodness or whatever. We offer them to Krishna. If Krishna said, you offer meat, offer me chicken, we would offer chicken. It doesn't matter. Or if he said offer garlic and onion, we would offer garlic and onion. That's the point.
That's true.
Prabhu, do you have any wisdom to share in this regard?
I have no wisdom on myself. Whatever I say is the wisdom of Srila Prabhupada. Here's a conversation. A guest says, yes, in certain parts of the body, and well, do you use sugar? Do you use sugar in your diet? Because the reason I'm bringing this up is because the main cause of cancer is sugar. Prabhupada. The thing is that to become only vegetarian is not the aim of life. Guest, no, Prabhupada. There are many animals, they're also vegetarian. The monkeys is a vegetarian. and he also lives in the jungle, and he also without any cloth, naked, natural life. But with all these qualifications, he is only monkey. So to become monkey is not our aim. So monkeys is like a vegetarian. Means that vegetarian or non-vegetarian, that your eating should be so regulated that you can concentrate your mind on God. Meat eaters, their mind is very agitated, so they cannot understand well. The real thing is how to concentrate your mind on God. And so these are some of the means. When we say no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, and no gambling, we do not say that these four principles are our aims and objectives. No, this is helping me. The real objective is to understand God and to love Him. So simply becoming vegetarian may be helping, stepping stone, but unless we learn to come to the point of loving God, either we become vegetarian or non-vegetarian, there is no difference.
So yeah, this is also connected to what I was just mentioning. So if I can humbly give an elaboration on what Prabhupada just said, that yeah, these things are all nice. Also, like feeding the poor and like philanthropy work or whatever, vegetarianism. These are all nice aspects. They're pious, and we don't say that they're bad. That's for sure. But at the same time, just doing those things by themselves is not so good. That is also material, not spiritual.
Here's another nice quote. Prabhupada says, "We are not distinguished that vegetable eating is nice, meat eating is not nice. No. The nature's law is that you must eat and that eating is something living. Vegetable is also living, but we're not concerned vegetarian or non-vegetarian. We're concerned with Krishna.
Okay.
Krishna says, you give me fruits, flowers, grains. We offer that. If Krishna says, you give me meat, chickens, we shall offer and we shall take."
So yeah, it isn't about you. It isn't about what you think is good or bad. Also, because I don't remember the personality who says this, but I think it's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that this good and bad in the material world, it's simply a mental concoction. It is the mind telling you that it's good or bad. Why? Because in the material world, so it's like in the material world, it's wet stool or dry stool, good or bad, wet stool or dry stool, because the point is wrong. The point is in the material world, it's good for my sense enjoyment or bad for my sense enjoyment. But the real thing is, the real life is, if it's good for Krishna's enjoyment or bad for Krishna's enjoyment. That should be my real concern, and that's my real self-interest also, because I am Krishna's part and parcel.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Gunabhari Acharya Chatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Gunabhari Acharya Chatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gora Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Shri Gauri Jai Ke, Srila Prabhupada Ke, Jai Gaur Premanandi.
So, offer your food to Krishna. It's very easy. Actually, there's, if you don't know, if you didn't pick up how to do it from this podcast, you can go on the Expand the Bliss website, aforementioned, and you can download a PDF which Purjit Prabhu compiled and wrote. It's very nice. It's how to offer your food to Krishna. It's very helpful guides. The process is simple. There is a process, undoubtedly. It's not that you just whimsically do it, but the most important thing is to acknowledge that Krishna has given the nice foodstuffs, and offer it for him to taste first. And in this way, you can create nice brain tissues to understand who you are, actually. What is God? What am I doing here? What is the goal of life? So this is all possible just by eating nice prasadam. Anything else, Baru?
We also are planning to publish a cookbook, a bliss cookbook. So I would like to ask devotees who are listening to give us an idea if it's a good idea. To give us a shout, a comment, or a message. Please send us a message if you think it's a good idea, if you would appreciate such a cookbook. Those of you who are listening, please let us know. It will encourage us to publish it faster.
Okay, yeah, that reminds me also that please put down in the comment section below, get a conversation going. Put some challenges there. But for now, let's just put what you like to offer to Krishna. If you're offering something to Krishna, put what you like to offer, and or put a question you have about the podcast, whatever. Share your experiences and get it churning down there. Churn the nectar in the YouTube comment section, or send us an email or Facebook message like that. So thank you for joining us on this episode of the Bliss Podcast. We will see you next time. I think I smell some nice prasadam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Prabhupada. Haribol.
That's nice. Sounds good.